Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Enigmatica 2 Expert. So, since last episode, I have been very busy. I'm actually on the server right now with 94Z28, Batalsai, Hobo Joe, Is a Dwarf, Joshi Koala, Kokyu, Leon of the Wind, Solar Hunt, and Jolutz 15. Now this hat I'm wearing, I've actually been meaning to go get one of these, right? If we take a look here, it is the pirate hat from Quark. Those pirates on the ships have it, but it was actually a gift from Kokyu yesterday. We are rocking our brand new pirate hat, so a big thank you to Kokyu for bringing me one of those, because I need it, you know. And I actually think it looks pretty good with that blue armor, I have to say. I do quite like it with that, so. Anyways, since last episode, you'll notice that the fields have grown. We have 6 harvesters spaced out, 3 on each side. And these fields, there's one field here that's not full yet. That's actually going to have red orchids. And it's funny because I actually saw a red orchid underground, and I didn't bother to pick it up because I was like looking for something else, and it was kind of off at a distance, and I was like, well, I'll come back and get it, and I never came back and got it, and I don't remember where it's at. But you can get those from breaking grass, though. And then over here, I've actually got to finish spreading these. I did put canola in here, as well as the coffee beans from Actually Additions. Now I also have the Pam's, oops, not these coffee beans, I need coffee seeds. Now I've also got the Pam's Harvestcraft coffee beans. Now you can't buy those from the market. Some of those, like mustard seeds, I couldn't buy from the market. Giga Pickles, I had to go out and get. Some of those things. But I do have 100% of the Pam's Harvestcraft seed crops in here. And that includes stuff that is kind of overlap, like coffee. Because there's Actually Additions coffee, and they're interchangeable. But I went ahead and planted both of them because I'm crazy like that. So, I have all of the Pam's Harvestcraft crops, seed crops in here. And then also Industrial Hemp works with the harvesters. The rustic crops work with the harvester. Yeah, everything works with a harvester. The only thing I've seen so far that doesn't is rubber from IC2. I did test that, and that does not work. Let me actually go ahead and grab like the canola seeds, coffee seeds, and coffee beans, and let me go ahead and slot these into a drawer because I don't have these slotted at the moment. That's why they're not going anywhere. But that's the nice thing, is if I get something that doesn't go anywhere, it just hangs out until I have a slot for it. Right, so we'll go ahead and slot these. I don't really know why I'm farming every possible thing, but might as well. Plus I have the space. So basically my plan is that one last little field there is going to have red orchids, and then I'm going to do a big farm that has ender lilies, because ender lilies are a lot slower to grow, you know. So I feel like it would make sense to have a little bit bigger of a farm for those. Now if we head up, well, actually look at all these crops. We do have some extra drawers, we're going to be using those today, but look at all of these different crops that we currently have automated. The only thing up here that is not automated at the moment is the bee stuff. So all of the rest of this that you see up here, string, paper, everything up here is automated. We actually have string building up in there. We have paper building up. Now if we pop over here, I have expanded these fields a little bit. So you can see they're almost filled out. I mean, cherries, I need one more. I need some more pears. I need some more walnuts. They're actually not hard. I can just make a tree. You know, 3 walnuts and a sapling makes a walnut tree, and then I can just pull a node off of it, and that's done. But I just haven't done that. And then over here, I have added another one of these. And these actually take a little while to fill out, in truth. You can see in this one we have mangoes, apples, peppercorns, vanilla beans, cashews, spider webs, which produce string. And then we have maple, or cinnamon wood, right here, which produces cinnamon. We have paper bark wood, which produces paper. And then we have maple wood, which produces maple syrup. And fun fact, which we are going to end up automating that, you can actually take maple syrup, run it through a presser, and you get slime balls. So kind of a neat little thing. It's like free slime balls. So technically we could automate slime balls and not even have to do a slime farm, you know, because we could just do it that way. So I've been working a bit on this and a bit on clearing and trying. I went and made a spreadsheet, you know, of all the crops that we need, and I've been steadily filling it out. And this has taken forever, but we are nearly at 100%. We actually have 20 crops left, and they go up on trees. Only 20 crops. So I'm going to build 2 more buildings. I don't know if I'm going to build in the exact style. This building, I'm actually going to bring the corners up. You can see, we can actually see underneath those leaves. But we're going to do 2 more buildings, probably with 9 in each. And then the remaining 2 is probably going to be like dragon fruit and star fruit. And I have an idea. I might do a little bit something different for those 2. Just because they're pretty plants. But I don't know for sure. I mean, honestly, a lot of these don't have a ton of use. But since we get extra hearts every time we eat something new, you know, or not every time, but, you know, after like 10 of them, it's kind of worth doing because, you know, there's a lot of health in that. And then over here, I did add an upgrade for this so it doesn't pull out the last item, but we still have to fill this out before I plug in the connector. So, and I've also been making up a bunch of steel. The harvesters took a bunch of steel, and I do have 1 extra harvester. No, I don't. I used it on that building, so I don't have any extra harvesters. But I did go out and explore for a little bit, and I found a couple more spectre coils, because we are going to be needing those. So I did go ahead and find a few more of those. I actually spent a while exploring, so not as much building as I had hoped to get done, but I need spectre coils. So anyways, what we're going to be doing today, we are going to maybe do bees if we have time today. But what I want to do today, in our second episode of agri-automation, is I want to fully 100% automate our primary food source. And this will be our primary food source for probably the rest of the pack, or at least close to it. You know, I mean, eventually we'll probably have saturation and not have to worry about it. But it's going to be the end-all be-all food for us, and we're going to 100% automate it and keep a bunch of it in stock. So I can just come in here to the kitchen, I can grab it out, and then if I want to make something special, you know, for getting hearts, or maybe, you know, maybe people come over and I want to give them like some kind of random food, you know, we will still have this and we'll have the kitchen stocked. But the actual food that's going to be our staple, I want to just have it fully automated 100%, and it can just build up, and I'll always have food. Because it'll all, you know, it's going to run faster than I'm going to be eating through it. So what we're going to be going for, and this food actually has a ton of steps and a ton of ingredients and a ton of, like, stuff that goes into it. We're going to be going for Deluxe Chicken Curry. Dairy, fruit, grain, protein, vegetable, 5.7%. It's all 5 food groups. Pretty much you're going to be full hunger and super saturation after eating this. It is a monster of a food. But there's a lot of steps. You can see it takes rice, it takes chicken curry, it takes mango chutney, which is, you know, something special here. That's one reason I had to get mangoes planted, like ASAP. Cooking oil, which there's a few different ways we can make cooking oil. We also need naan, which is dough, which is, you know, salt and flour and water. Cooking oil, onions, chicken curry, which takes yogurt, and it takes a bunch of different ingredients, ground cinnamon, which you have to run through a grinder or with a mortar and pestle. You know, it's a ton of steps that are involved to make the deluxe chicken curry, but it is superfood. It is a very, very superfood. We are going to go with that deluxe chicken curry because it's amazing. It's amazing, but we do have a lot of stuff to do. So let's go ahead and start from, let's see, I know we need, oh, and also we're going to be going, instead of going with chicken, I am going to set up something for ground traps, but we're going to be going with tofu, which is tofu chicken, which requires cooking oil, spice leaf, firm tofu, and flour, but you do get 4 of those per craft. It's not too bad. I mean, if you want to, I forgot to show you how much we have building up in our stocks. So, like, if you take a look at the stuff that we automated first, we have like 20 stacks of this stuff. It is building up very, very quick. A lot quicker than we're going to be using it. So, probably long-term, what I'm probably going to do is, like, maybe, I don't know, I might have, like, ender chests or something, or, like, a little place offshore from the base, or maybe even at spawn, that stays stocked with, like, food items or food or something. So, if somebody needs to, you know, maybe come over and get some food, or they want to start a farm, or, you know, something like that, it'll be there. But, of course, I've got to get to where I can make ender chests and stuff like that. But we are building, like, a super farm. A little bit ugly right now, but I'm working on it. Slowly but surely, I am working on it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start simple. We're going to start with cooking oil. And if you take a look at this, you can craft this in a crafting grid, but we're going to be going with the presser. And we're going to be automating a lot of pressing and grinding today, as well as a lot of crafting. Now you can run mustard seeds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, tea leaves, pumpkin, cottonseed, pumpkin seeds, olives, avocado. Now there is one extra little caveat you may have noticed. We actually get grain bait from this. So whenever we do set up our ground traps, we'll actually have all 3 of the different baits automated through other systems, because you can get those from pressing and grinding and, you know, doing stuff with other materials. You don't actually have to craft these. But we're going to be going with the tea leaves because I don't have a ton of need for tea leaves. They're not used in an absolute ton of stuff, mainly for making teas. So I feel like I can use those for my my cooking oil, and that should be fine. So let's actually pull this stuff out. Okay, so our first presser, we're going to set this up like right over here. We're actually going to have some little machines set up here, and then a little bit of automation down here. And this is going to be like a lot of our food automation. It's going to be sitting right over here because I don't want to make I don't want to have to make flour and, you know, cooking oil and just things like that. I don't really want to have to manually make those personally. I'd rather just it be there. We're gonna, like, the point of this pack, of course, is to like automate all the things, like lots and lots of things. And if you can automate it, automate it. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, there's certain things we probably won't automate, but you know, for the most part, we're going to be automating a lot of things. So we might as well start with food. Because, of course, we're kind of taking our time getting into just a ton of mods. I'm trying not to fill up my plate and be like, God, I got to build rooms for all these different things. Taking it nice and slow at the start, which is good, I think. Let's go ahead and we're going to put a connector on this. We're going to call this, cooking oil. And this is where naming is going to get a little bit important because we're going to have to name lots of things and make sure that we know, you know, what it's connected to. And we're just going to connect that to our main XNet network. And then what we're going to do, we're going to pop over here, and inside of our controller, let me go grab tea leaves real quick. Which we have 20 stacks of tea leaves. And I haven't even like sped up crops. Honestly, we probably won't even speed up any crops because they're just, it's on a server, it's running constant, and I think it'll be alright. So right here we have extraction from the drawer controller. We're going to go ahead and put this on channel 2. And we're going to say create, insert, and we're going to insert tea leaves. Okay, actually we're going to have to push this back a little bit because I didn't even think about this. We're going to have to insert from the top side, not from the bottom side. So I'm actually going to take the presser and I'm going to push it back to right there, I do believe. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our network cables, and what I'll probably do is just push this side out with facades, because you can facade the XNet stuff. And I don't know if I want to butt it up against that wall or not, because we will have a couple. Yeah, let's actually butt it up against this, because this wall is going to get, you know, it's not going to stay stone, but and I might actually have to bring pressers and grinders around. I mean, we're going to have a lot of these things, but I don't want to just hide them. Like, I could hide them inside of there, and, you know, that would be easy. But I don't really want to do that. It kind of takes the fun out of everything. Okay, so we're going to say cooking oil. Go. And we've got our tea leaf. Let's go ahead now and configure this correctly. So, channel 2, we're going to say create. Tea leaves only can go in there. And let's go see if it dumped anything in there. It did. It dumped chestnuts. Okay. So I'll pull those out and tea leaves start going in. And it's going to pow. It's going to crush them, and we're going to get cooking oil and grain bait. Now, out of curiosity, can I just go ahead and eat that? My nutrition is good right now. You can see we've actually got a blue heart there that's built up. All right, let me grab our grain bait and our cooking oil. And I'm going to dump, actually, I'll tell you what, this, let's see, this drawer right here, I'm going to pull out the void upgrade out of this. I just want the storage upgrade. I don't want the void upgrade. And we're going to throw cooking oil into there. So whenever cooking oil is backed up in here, it can stop, you know, it can stop crushing up tea leaves. And then our grain bait, we're going to dump right into here. Okay, so grain bait can get voided if it's not you know, it's not backing up. And basically what I'll do is, for automation purposes, I mean, we're going to have baits coming in from a couple different sources, but I'll have it set up so that if it runs out of bait, it can auto-craft it whenever we get to the ground traps, which we're not going to be on those right this second. Now, out of curiosity, can I set this now to extract? Will that work? If I say extract, and we'll say stack. I don't know if it can extract from the top or if I'm going to have to do it through the bottom. That's my thing. It looks like we're going to have to extract from the bottom, which means another connector. Yeah, see, it's just pulling and placing the tea leaves. That's not what we want to happen. Okay, so if we want to delete something, we just select it and hit the X. Okay, so I'm going to have to do something on the bottom then. Yeah, actually, over here we're going to do connectors. We are going to do, I think, retrieval nodes for the apiaries, but here I think we should just put a connector right there on the bottom. And we're going to call this, let me actually pull, because I don't need that. Let's call this cooking oil. If I have to use two, I mean, connectors aren't expensive. I made up a ton of lapis plates, so it's really just running the gold through at this point. So we're going to select our cooking oil output. We're going to say create, extract, stack, and now it should be extracting our grain bait and stuff. Yeah, we have 30 grain bait, 31 cooking oil, and then eventually it will back up the cooking oil and it's going to stop that from running, right? After it backs up a little bit. Of course, I mean, I've got 104 stacks in here just because I can. I mean, you know, we're automating this early, so eventually this stuff's all just going to be done because it's going to be running on a server for a long time. So, okay, so that's done. And then if we take a look at our, what do we want to do next? Well, let's focus on the tofican. So we've got that done. Now we're going to need to do firm tofu. And firm tofu requires silken tofu, which requires soybeans through a presser, and it's going to make more grain bait. See, we're going to have a couple different sources of grain bait. So I'm going to need to make 2 pressers right here in order to get our firm tofu. And then we're also going to want some flour, and I'm going to need to make a grinder for that. And we're going to be grinding up, I think we'll probably just grind up like beans or rice or oats, or actually I'll probably grind up rye, I think is what I'll do. You get 2 flour that way. I mean, you can craft it, but you only get 1 flour, so it's not as good. We'll just run it through the grinder with rye. And the grinder, of course, we've already made a presser once before. I'm not going to do that on camera for those next 2. The grinder is a sword, redstone repeater, and some iron. So I'll be back once I get those 3 machines crafted up. Okay, I got those crafted up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run connectors there, 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 and there, there, there. I'm going to have to make more connectors before this is all said and done. And then we're going to set up a presser right there, and a grinder right there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say this one is soybean in, and then the one below it, or we'll go ahead and go over, and we're going to say firm tofu in, and then over here we're going to say rye in, and then down here we're going to say firm tofu out, and then next to it we're going to say silk tofu out, and then this one back here is going to be flour out. And the nice thing is, as we're automating this tofican, there's quite a few things in here, like the flour, the cooking oil, that we're going to be using later on as well. So that will be good. Alright, so those 4 are set up, and then we just have to configure these. So we're going to say, let's get ourselves, let's get a piece of this rye. And how much rye do I have? About 20 stacks. Okay. We're going to get a piece of the rye, and then we're also, I'm surprised these crops have caught up. Well, yeah, and these are about halfway. I automated these last night though, and these were today. I was literally automating harvesters till my eyes burned. Like, not even joking. Soybeans. Okay, soybeans I only have 9 stacks, but that should be fine for now. Okay, so we are going to, inside of here, we're going to say, this one is flour out. Okay, right here is rye in, so we're going to say, second channel, create, and rye. we're going to put into there. And it's inserting, and it's probably dumped something else in there right now. That's fine. Dumped cooking oil. Okay. Anyways, okay, rye is going to go in, and if we give it just a second, we should see some flour get made. There we go, 2 batches of flour, and let's go ahead and toss this into our drawers. There we go, it's going to go into the ones that don't get voided. And I'm going to keep this stuff in fridges too, here soon. And we're going to say right here on the grinder, we're going to say this one, channel 1 on the downside, create, and it's extracting stacks. Okay, that should be set up. That's done. And then we're going to come over here, firm tofu. Okay, right here, the firm tofu presser, we're going to say on the second channel, on the upside, we are going to create, and we're going to put soybeans into that. And then let's come over here. I'm sure it's dumped something else in there. Okay, so here we go. It's going to make some tofu and some grain bait. There we go. I don't have to worry about the grain bait. I just have to worry about the silken tofu. We're going to drop this into the one that doesn't get voided, and then we're going to pull it right back out. Then right over here real quick, we're going to say first slot on this one, and we're going to say create, extract, stack. Doesn't really have to be stack, because it's not going to be, you know, XNet's going to be able to pull it out as singles, you know, if you want. But and then this last one here, we're going to say second channel, create, and silk tofu is going to go in, and I'm sure it's dumped. I'm sure it has dumped cooking oil in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and say the downside, create, extract, stack. Okay, and then if we take a look here, silken tofu, we have 9 of at the moment. This, everything's getting pulled out. This has cooking oil. Let's pull that out. And there goes our silken tofu. Haha. We are definitely getting somewhere now. Okay, so now if we take a look here, we have soy milk and we have firm tofu that are being produced from this. And the soy milk, I'm actually going to put this... There we go. Sample another 10 varieties of food to get another heart. Alright. The soy milk, we're going to put in the one that can be voided. We are going to be using the soy milk, but I mean 104 stacks is plenty of that. And then we're going to have the firm tofu be the shutoff point. And I have it backwards, don't I? So firm tofu is silken tofu. Let me change this a little bit here. Because this is firm tofu out. It needs to be silk tofu out. And this one needs to be firm. For some reason I was thinking it was firm into silk, and it's backwards. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so there we go. That is automated, and we now have the tofu being made. And so all we need to do for the tofikin, we've got flour, we've got the firm tofu, we've got the spice leaf, we've got the cooking oil. All we need to do is craft it now. So the analog crafter from Extra Utilities 2, it just requires 8 crafting tables and a lever. And I'm actually going to go ahead and craft up a few of these. Okay, so there's a couple analog crafters. And then I'm also going to want a cutting board, right? Tofikin. Cutting board, yeah. So it's stick, brick, and planks. Okay, I got some connectors, just 2 of them made right now, but I'll make more here in a minute. So I'm just going to bring a connector up out of that. And then we're going to take our analog crafters. We're going to set up the first 2, just one right there, one right there. So we're going to set up a recipe here. We're going to say that this side over here, we're going to set this to down only. And then we're going to put our cutting board into there. And then we're going to do firm tofu, flour, cooking oil, and spice leaf. And by the way, I did get another life, or another heart, I mean, from eating more foods. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say sticky. Keep at least 1 item in each slot. Doesn't apply to items that do not stack. We're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to put in spice leaf, firm tofu, cooking oil, flour. And then we're going to say this one here is going to be disabled, 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 disabled. And that's the recipe. Okay, and we're going to say, okay, it's always on. That's great. And then what we're going to do, let me actually dump that. I don't actually need that because we're not even going to have to set filters for this. We're going to go to our analog crafter called tofikin, which will be, well, they're all called tofikin at the moment. We're gonna change this to crafters. Okay, and the one on the south side, we just have to remember that. We are going to say right here, it would be the north. The north side is where the connector is. It's the north side connection to the analog crafter. We're going to say that the north side is going to be on the second channel here. We're going to create it. We're going to leave it as insert, and we're going to leave it just like it is. Okay. So now if we pop over here and we take a look, you can see it's crafting tofu. Like, that's all we have to do, because this is filtering the output, so we don't even have to filter the XNet line. And then we're going to take our tofu and we're going to put this into, and we need another drawer that doesn't void things. So let's go ahead and pull the void upgrade out of this. I'm actually saving on void upgrades though, which is good. And we're going to drop our tofu into there. And then all we have to do now is say, right here, this one, we're going to say north side, create, extract, stacks. Because it can extract and insert from the same line. So if we take a look at our tofu, we now have 36, 40, and so on. And the fact that it crafts 4 at a time, I mean, I think this is more efficient than even doing the ground traps. Just the ground traps have some other things which are nice to get. But in addition, automating this stuff, we can easily make the other like tofu things, like tofu fish, tofu beef, tofu pork, all that stuff we'll be able to make rather easily now that we've already got the tofu done. Okay, so that's the first step out of the way for our chicken curry. So next up, we need to actually automate the chicken curry itself. And this is basically, it's just coconuts, yogurt. We are going to have to automate yogurt, which you can do with soy milk.